Justice.
Welcome back to Speaking Spatter. I'm Amber.
And I'm Josh.
And I know it's been a hot minute, but I had to get my life together.
Me too. My life was in shambles. So.
But we're back. We're stronger. We're better. We're ready to get this going.
Yeah. I just didn't realize until now how high this mic is, but
I'm sure you can move it real
that's
quick.
fine. Yeah.
I did want to update our audience. We are going to be releasing one podcast a month.
Mm-hmm.
That way we can focus on putting good quality research into our topics and making sure we're delivering, the coolest. Oh, that sounds wrong, but some good quality stories.
Yeah.
To you guys.
Some good quality. Okay. So yeah, I want to be able to read, and now this mic's in the way.
While Josh is fixing his mic, you can find us on YouTube and Spotify under Speaking Spatter. Follow us on Instagram at Speaking Spatter Pod.
Yeah, and we made our first post in a little while.
Yeah.
On there, talking about this episode.
Yeah.
So they'll see it kind of soonish.
Hopefully, yeah. This episode will release in a couple weeks. So.
Okay. All right, so stay tuned for that. So I know we're going to do things a little bit differently today. I think we kind of previewed it on the last one, that I had found a story that I really liked. I know there was a nickname for it that I had seen on other podcasts for a missing person, like a 411 or I don't know. They had some type of shortened name for this type of case.
Oh.
But that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a missing person who just kind of has a little bit of a weird story. I think these kind of stories kind of freak me out just because with modern technology, with, having access to GPS and helicopters and all this stuff, it's weird that people just can still vanish and nobody knows what happens to them. So I'll take a page from your what do you
take a page out of my book.
Yeah, but what do you call it when it's your flow? I'll say your flow. So I had a few different sites to mention here. One is from disappearedblog.com. Another one is from kmph.com. It's just a local news website. A lot of it came from the YouTube channel. His name is Mr. Ballin. All he does is his YouTube channel. All he does is just tell true crime and mysterious things in story form. That's all he does.
Oh, okay.
So he's just talking to the camera. Cool little channel. So anybody wants to check it out, definitely do that. And then the last one was going to be stonepeerpress.org. And again, just another news outlet that covered the case. So that is what I have. So we're going to go back to a year that I think most of us want to forget.
I got a lot of those.
Sorry, that the world collectively probably wants to forget. We're going to go all the way back to 2020. So it was March 11th, 2020. The WHO, the World Health Organization, declared the spread of the COVID-19 virus was so bad, became a global pandemic. We all remember that. Mm-hmm. So it meant that we had spread to every corner of the globe. At this time, world governments were still trying to keep people indoors, avoiding physical contact, the whole 6 feet apart, just to try and slow the spread of the virus. So they thought that would put an end to the pandemic. Life would just go back to normal. Our lovely then President Donald Trump said, it'll be over by what is it? By Christmas or holidays or whatever it was, January, whatever he said it was. So as we know, it didn't happen. So by June 2020, 3 months into the pandemic, cases were on the rise. It was a point people began to realize that this wasn't really going anywhere. So it meant that these quarantines were put into place and were going to be around for a really long time. So while politicians began to question the effectiveness, arguing over these measures put into place, if they were working, if they weren't working, we know the whole rigmarole. The rest of us, we're trying to figure out what we were going to do.
Yeah.
So new rules, all while living most of our lives indoors. And it was around that time in June of 2020 that 54-year-old Sandra Hughes was pondering the same question as all of us. And that is who the story is about. It is about the disappearance of Sandy Lynn Johnsen Hughes.
Okay. I don't think I've heard this. So
yeah, interesting story. So Sandra Hughes, she was born on July 26, 1966. Up to this point, Sandra's life kind of hadn't gone as she had planned. She had been married twice. Both ended in, divorce. She had no children. She was living at the time in beautiful Maui, Hawaii.
Yeah.
I won't go too deep into Hawaii.
Don't get into it. Move along, Josh.
Move along. But she hadn't been there, too long, to fully consider it home. Mm-hmm. They said that her family, that she had lived a very nomadic life, kind of bounced all over the country, for the bulk of her adult life. So she never planted roots anywhere. She was an accountant by trade, but during college, she not only got her degree in accounting, but was also into wilderness survival. So she said she would be extreme. So, she was really good at it. So I guess she had a knack for being a survivalist.
That's cool.
So it's a huge passion of hers. Growing up, she always said she wanted to train to be a park ranger, thought that one day it would be her occupation. But of course, as things usually go, it didn't go that way. She didn't become a park ranger. Instead, she became an accountant. So in June of 2020, she saw this as an opportunity. So it's kind of a strange time.
She seized the opportunity she saw.
Yeah, there you go. She sees an opportunity. Like I said, she sees an opportunity during the strange time just to get back into nature and to be in the place that she loved. So at the end of June, she calls up her family, says that she's going to sell her house in Maui. She does that and then moves to Madera County, California, which is located just south of Yosemite National Park and just north of the Sierra National Forest. So we kind of have
Very
a time.
familiar with that area.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay. So I hear it's nice. I don't think I've ever been. It's
really pretty.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been up there before.
Yeah.
So
it's just like a lot of forest and greenery. It's pretty.
Yeah. I know they said there's just endless amounts of trails, spots to camp and all of that. So so Sandra says, you know what, let's do it. I love nature. And like I said, you're still keeping up with the quarantine rules because she just decided, I'm just going to go out there by myself and get back to what I love doing. So, so June 26, 2020, she calls her family just to inform them that she's going on an extended solo camping trip in the Sierra National Forest and would be in touch with them in the coming weeks. So this trip would allow her to feel a lot of, happiness, fulfillment, while also following the guidelines currently in place for quarantine. Later that day, she loaded up her silver Saab sedan and headed north, then east for about an hour until she was deep in the Sierra Nevada forest. So around that time, she would leave the main road, take a dirt road that led to a place called the Johnsen Meadow. So Johnsen Meadow, they said it's a beautiful stretch of green grass. The meadow's surrounded by a bunch of lush trees, of the Sierra National Forest. Beyond those trees are the snow-capped Sierra Mountains. And it looks like something kind of out of a postcard, just something that you would see a photographer put somewhere. But despite being beautiful, Johnsen Meadow can also be pretty dangerous. So it's very isolated and open. There's a lot of bears and cougars in the Sierra National Forest. So it's not really a place you go unless you are prepared to be there.
Okay.
But again, Sandra's trained in the wilderness survival, so she has the appropriate gear. So again, she packs up her car, she parks her car, grabs her belongings, hikes her way into the middle of the meadow, and then sets up her camp.
Okay.
Everything's going good.
Yeah.
So 6 days later, on July 2nd of 2020, a group of hikers comes out of the tree line, begins walking through the middle of the Johnsen Meadows. Mm-hmm. And as they do, they spot a campsite in the middle of it. So they said that this is not it's not unusual to see that since a lot of people do go camping. It's a pretty popular site. A lot of people go there. So if you see it, you're just like, okay, someone's camping. So they begin to veer around because their path is leading right through the camp. So they just begin to veer around her campsite.
Right, because they don't necessarily know who they're going to walk up on. So you don't necessarily want to approach somebody's camp.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
yes.
That makes sense.
So they decided, okay, let's, veer around, kind of, avoid it a little bit. But they're passing and they kind of notice that the campsite looks abandoned and it also looks destroyed. So the hikers then decide to walk over to investigate. There is a backpack, but it looks like it's been dumped out. Like all of the gear strewn about. There's papers, unopened cans of food, the tent's in ruins. So the place is just trashed. So the hikers don't know if someone had done this or maybe thought maybe an animal got into the camp. So they kind of mark down where they find it. They hike out of the forest. Once they're within cell phone range, they call up the Madera County Sheriff to report the campsite. So later that day, officers drive down to Johnsen Meadows and they still find the campsite destroyed. They found some ID cards among the items, and these belong to Sandra Hughes. So the sheriff's office contacts Sandra's family to see if they know why she would leave her, why she left her campsite. And of course, Sandra's family is a little taken back by it for their immediate reaction, because they said that Sandra's very environmentally conscious.
Yeah.
So they're like, she would never leave her campsite like that.
Right.
She's one of those people that would just pick up everything. You know how they say it's just like a rule of camping. You leave things better than you found it.
Yeah.
So they're like, there's no way. So at this point, the authorities and Sandra's family are a little bit concerned. So that day, an official missing persons report is filed. Over the next 2 days, a massive search is done for Sandra in the area. They have hundreds of volunteers, sniffer dogs, helicopters. Everything was used in the search. The sheriff's office is also interviewing anybody who was out in the area that day to see if they've seen or encountered Sandra.
That day, as in like June 26th or July 2nd?
As in July 2nd.
Okay.
And then anybody who's been in that area on July 2nd or, has been in, near Johnsen Meadow or around that area at all. So the thing that kind of distinguishes her is that before the trip, Sandra had dyed her hair blue, like a really bright blue.
Oh.
I have photos of some of the stuff like the Johnsen Meadows. Yeah. Actually, sorry, the photo that we're going to show is actually not Johnsen Meadow. I could not find one, but I was like, this is generally what it looks like, the lush trees and everything like that. So, but she had dyed her hair really bright blue.
Okay.
So very distinguishable. You don't see a lot of people with blue hair. So they were really hoping that helps them out. So after the search is done, they come up with nothing to indicate where Sandra's gone. Unfortunately, nobody saw her or could recall seeing anybody with blue hair. So they're just kind of left with nothing there, which is kind of weird. So on July 4th, so we're just a couple of days later, Sandra's reportedly spotted on foot by hikers in the Johnsen Meadow area. They said she was standing off to the side, that she had no gear. She was barefoot with a black shirt and blue jeans.
Dude, they're always barefoot.
Right.
When they're like spotted after they gone missing, they're always fucking barefoot.
Barefoot, yeah. Well, it's just strange, like how an experienced camper just gets lost or, whatever the explanation is. So they describe her as having a bruise on her face. So the hikers walked by, but she didn't call to them. She didn't look distressed. She looked as if she was waiting for someone, so the hikers continued to walk past her. When they got to the parking lot, there were a bunch of missing person signs at this point.
Okay.
So when they see the missing person sign, it is the blue hair that instantly makes them say, like, that was the woman. Like, that's the person in this photo. That's Sandra Hughes. So they recognize it. Right away, they'd call the Madera County Sheriff's Office. They went out to the area where she was reported. But when they got there, essentially, there's nothing to be found.
Do you know how long it took them to get there?
They said that usually it takes probably like within 15, 20 minutes. Okay. Because it's just kind of a big area. So like I said, she's nowhere to be found. There's no gear. There's not any sign of where she might have gone. So they don't know where she went at this point. But again, the hikers were very adamant. Blue hair. They said as soon as they see the missing person signs, they're like, holy crap, like that's her. Like, we got to call. So July 5th, 2020, Sandra's car, that silver Saab that was at one point parked right before the Johnsen Meadow. Mm-hmm. They said she parked in the trees and probably walked maybe quarter of a mile to the middle of Johnsen Meadow. Well, that car is found off a dirt road near the Chiquito Pass trailhead, which is about 5 miles north of her original campsite. But Sandra wasn't in it.
Sorry. When they had originally went and searched like the scene, was her car parked where
her car wasn't there? No.
Okay.
They did not find her car.
It wasn't until the 5th.
It wasn't until the 5th. Yeah. So she's reported missing on the 2nd, and this is 3 days later. They find it 5 miles from her original campsite.
Okay.
So authorities believe Sandra was driving the car, crashed into a tree at low speeds, and rolled down into the ravine and got stuck. So no blood was found in the vehicle, so they don't know if Sandra had suffered any physical harm. But the most significant thing about the vehicle was the state of her personal items. Again, so they're found scattered about. They said that the police described it as disheveled and emptied carelessly. So yeah, as I said, they found it like I said, emptied carelessly. So it was as if somebody had gone in, pulled everything out, like just tossed the vehicle, as if someone was looking for something. And authorities noted it was eerily similar to her campsite. Same thing, like as if somebody was just went through everything and just trashed it.
Yeah, like a burglary or
Yes. A burglary.
a burglar.
A hamburglary. So authorities at this point did not think that Sandra was intentionally trying to evade them. They believe, based on reported injuries from the hikers, that she may have gotten hurt in the accident and now impaired her ability. So they said they saw a bruise on her face. Mm-hmm. So they're thinking she hits, she falls down, she hits her head, and she's just confused. Like she doesn't know, maybe she has a concussion or something like that, is what they're thinking at this point. So there was some discussion about foul play being involved that was argued against by the majority. So they decide to leave the vehicle as it is, thinking Sandra might come back to it. Mm-hmm. Maybe she's still looking for something. So they leave a note on her car telling her that authorities are looking for her. They give her a number to call if she sees it. At the bottom of the note, they actually put on there, "Your family really misses you." So a new search is conducted for the next few days to focus on that area where the car was found again. But again, they don't find anything. So I'll have a picture as well of the note. I even found that. Okay. So they just left it on the car because they're just thinking, if this is where she got hurt and she's confused, she might just, this is home base now. So let's just come back to it. But that never happens. She never comes back to the car. So now it's been a little bit of time because this was July 5th. Mm-hmm. So it isn't until the evening of July 12th, 2020, 1 week after the discovery of her vehicle, a search team has made their way 2.5 miles north of where they found her vehicle. They were just inside Yosemite National Park in an area called Spotted Lake. So they've kind of crossed over from the Sierra National Forest into Yosemite. Mm-hmm. So they said it's a very difficult place to get to. There's no main roads or trails that lead to Spotted Lake. So the searchers are up in that region. As they're walking along, they spot a flashlight and a sleeping bag laid out on the floor in the middle of nowhere. So it looks like it had been used recently. The sleeping bag was turned out it belonged to Sandra. But again, they brought the search team, began to search. They combed the entire area around Spotted Lake. So all the volunteers just start going down there. But again, Sandra's nowhere to be found. So authorities at this point are just kind of baffled. They don't know what to make of it because from her original campsite to where her vehicle was found to Spotted Lake, all those areas are kind of in a relatively straight line from north to south. So it seemed like from the day she was reported missing until now, she was just slowly making her way north. But she was doing this with reportedly no gear, no equipment, food. Most likely barefoot. And they said it's a really rugged and steep area of the forest. So they didn't know if they were going to find her soon. She would more than likely die due to the elements, based on what they know. And so the search just continues and nothing turns up.
Dang.
So yeah, they don't know what to make of it at this point. So up until July 20th of 2020, Sandra's nowhere to be found and hasn't been spotted. There's no new leads. The Madera County Sheriff's Office has to kind of pull back the search efforts. They've had a lot of manpower. They've put a ton into it. And like I said, at this point, it's just cold. There's nothing else. They haven't found
anything else since the 20th.
And again, like I said, they're it's getting to the point where it's so steep and so rugged and so hard to travel.
It's not safe for the search party.
Right. Because they're at this point, there wasn't any, I remember reading, they were saying it was no longer if me and you lived in that area, we're not going out there anymore.
Right.
You need experienced hikers that have been out there and kind of know how to navigate that terrain to go out there. And she has no gear, supposedly.
That's tough.
So on August 9th, 2020, so we're a couple weeks later now, two hunters are driving along Forest Road. I believe that says 5S01. So that's about 3 miles to the east of where Sandra's car was found. They're turning up a corner, and on a hill, they see this woman. She isn't on the side of the road or even near the road. They said she's kind of tucked up on the hill in the tree line. Supposedly, she's spotted leaning against the tree alone. So the location is about 5 miles from her abandoned campsite. Mm-hmm. Near, it says Portuguese Overlook on Beesore Road. Not maybe somebody out there knows more about that. So they said she still has no gear, no equipment, and there's nobody else around. And they said it's pretty strange because it's a very isolated part of the forest. So they said it was strange just to see anybody at all on this road, these hunters. They then decide to pull up alongside of the road. They said she's still standing tucked up in the trees, doesn't acknowledge them. They say they call for her, they wave for her, they try to get her attention, but she doesn't answer. She just continues to look out, like into the forest.
Did they take a picture of her?
That I don't believe so. I couldn't find. Yeah,
man,
I couldn't
they
find
should've
anything.
taken a picture.
So they're saying that she's just kind of looking off in the distance.
Yeah.
And despite their efforts, she doesn't talk to them. They said there's no interaction. But again, the hunters say the same thing as the hikers, that she's not distressed. She doesn't appear to be injured. And she seemed to be out there on purpose. Like they're like, she's just here. They don't know why. But honestly, I'm like, if I see a woman standing in the trees in the middle of the forest and I'm trying to flag her down and she doesn't say a word, I'm like, yeah, let's just get out of here. Right?
I'm like, witchcraft. Let's go.
Yeah. I'm like, no. So I'm like, just don't say right with me.
Yeah.
We got to go.
I'm like kind of getting creeped out just listening to you tell us. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so they don't, she doesn't do anything. But again, they're like, she doesn't look distressed. She's not calling for help. So what are we going to do? So the two hunters, they just decide just to continue down this road. Same thing as before. They come across those missing persons flyers. And when they see the photo of the blue hair, they know instantly that that's the person that was standing in that tree line in the middle of the forest, that it was Sandra Hughes. The two hunters, they call the Madera County Sheriff's Office, but they would describe Sandra as looking slightly thinner than the photo on the posters. And she was wearing overalls and a floral t-shirt, which the hikers before was different. They said she was wearing the black shirt and the blue jeans back on July 4th, 2020, the last time she was seen. So, like I said, they black shirt, blue jeans. Now it's overalls, floral shirt. So she had changed her outfit, but as far as they knew, she had left all her items at the campsite. So it was strange to them, but they went out again. They searched the area where she was spotted, but again, she's nowhere to be found, and there's no evidence she had ever been there. So after this, the case goes cold with no new evidence. Her family's kind of just bracing for the worst at this point,
right?
That Sandra would just likely not be seen again. And then one more twist comes. So this was the reason why I found the case, and the reason why I was just so intrigued by it, is there's a little bit of a paranormal, portion of it. So it's kind of eerie, but
right.
I thought it was very interesting. So this takes place on July 21st of 2021. So it's a year later.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So now we have a man named Jake Gorba, his wife Victoria, and their 3 kids. They're all off-roading on a deep forest road in the Sierra National Forest. They're on their way to a place called Shut-Eye Peak. So it's a pretty steep forest road. They said it's a beautiful mountaintop, amazing, really like panoramic views. Yeah. Again, I looked it up, and it's really famous. They have like this big lookout from the National Forest, and so you can go around the whole thing, and it's just almost like a 360 view of the area. So really nice. They said it's pretty popular. It's located about 5 miles to the south of Johnsen Meadows. So Jake and his family, they're driving up the steep road. They get about halfway up, and their kids do what kids do, and they're like, "I'm hungry. I want to eat."
Hey, I do the same thing.
Right.
Need a snack.
I need a snack. I need something. So Jake and Victoria, they decide to stop. So they said at one point the mountain kind of levels off. Mm-hmm. So they find a flat section filled with a small meadow that was up against some trees. They stop for a picnic. But before they can get out, before they can get out and set up for the picnic, they heard their 3-year-old son, Caden, who's in the back of the vehicle, start talking. So naturally, both of them turn around just to see who Caden was talking to. He's not talking to himself or any of his siblings. He was turned looking outside of his open window, looking across that small meadow that they were parked at, right into the trees with someone outside, as if there was someone standing out there. So Jake and Victoria, they turn, they don't see anybody in the direction. So they ask him, like, who are you talking to?
Tell me he says a lady with blue hair.
His response, they said, is what terrified them. And what happened over the next few minutes was so unsettling to them, they decide, F it, we're leaving. They head back down the mountain. When they got home, Victoria does what most moms would do. She decides, let's go on Facebook. Facebook mom, you know, just post about it. She posts about what her son said and the whole terrifying ordeal. That night, she gets a call from the Madera County Sheriff's Office, who would reach out to Victoria via Facebook message, saying that they saw the post and wanted to speak with her and her son. So the following day, the Madera County Sheriff's Office would speak with Caden to hear what he had to say. They say that they left as unsettled as Victoria, who had been there when it happened. So the day before, when Caden was asked who he was talking to, I guess he turns to his parents and spoke, "There's a woman out there and she needs our help."
Oh my God, I just got the chills.
So he's pointing to the tree line, but again, Jake and Victoria, they don't see anyone. They said Caden then became a little more vocal and says, "Mom, you gotta trust me. She's right out there. She needs our help." And then he says she's lying face down, her legs are straight up, and she's dead.
I don't know if you can see the chills on my cheeks, but that's insane.
I feel like I felt the same way when I heard the story for the first time. I was like, that's what he said?
Face down, legs
straight up, and she's dead. And they said he's getting upset about it at this point because he's just, you know, like, you're frustrated as anybody. Yeah. If somebody doesn't believe you, you're just like, no, like, this is happening. So Jake at this point gets out. So he gets out of the vehicle. He runs straight into the forest, but he doesn't find anyone. So they said that while he's looking, his son is pointing like right near him where he says the woman is, but his dad doesn't see anything. When he returns to the vehicle, his son is still looking at the forest and talking to the supposed dead woman. What got the sheriff's department's attention was something in the post. So I guess Victoria included a description of the woman based on what her son said. He said she had a black shirt on, blue jeans, and blue hair.
Oh my God.
So
and kids don't make this shit up. Like,
right. And people would say like, oh, you know, maybe that he saw the wanted poster or the missing persons photo, but she wasn't wearing
black shirt,
blue jeans. So that's you know, so they said that that's what really gets the Madera County Sheriff's Office. They see the post, they see what he said, they knew it matched the description of Sandra. So, you know, they instantly reach out to her. So they do meet up with Victoria and Caden. They brought them with a lineup of several women to show the son. Mm-hmm. They simply asked him if he could identify from those photos who the woman in the woods was. They said that Caden looks over all the photos. He picks out 3 of them, and all 3 are Sandra Hughes.
Shut the fuck up.
All 3.
Oh my God.
The following day, Caden and Jake, they go back to the meadow with the sheriff's department, up to where they say he saw Sandra. But like always, there's no sign of her or that she had ever been there. So they find nothing again. But we don't know how this kid knows all this information.
Right.
3 photos. They said it was a number of them, probably like 20 photos, and he picked all 3 of them were her. So he just knows what he saw. So again, I know this is not too long because we're 2023 now, so we're maybe about 2.5 years. So to today, Sandra's still missing. There's been no new leads, and nobody knows what to make of the strange sightings that occurred after she went missing. So it's just still one big mystery. That's the last time they ever got an update on it. But again, I just wanted to put out there as well that if you have any information, you are encouraged to contact the Madera County Sheriff's Office. Yeah. Their number, I'm sure we can put in the description below as well. But it's going to be 559-675-7770. So if anybody has any leads, I don't know how they would, but yeah. So to this day, it's still, I don't think she's declared dead. I think she is still declared missing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's been no new leads since Caden's little paranormal, what do you call it?
Apparition
incident or experience. Yeah. So that's my little story there.
That's crazy.
I thought it was really, really crazy. Especially because, like you said, kids are always so sensitive to stuff like that.
Right. And they don't, I mean, like, sure, kids can be influenced by things they see, but the fact that he was like face down, legs up, black hair, black shirt, blue pants, blue hair.
Blue hair, yeah.
Like that's like a little too detailed.
And then again, the photos that they show, I would assume are old photos of her. So she probably didn't even have blue hair at that point.
Yeah.
But he still recognized her. And I think another good thing to point out is that those hunters said she looked thinner
Yeah.
than before. And I don't think he was being shown photos. I mean, obviously she looked the way she looked before she went into that forest.
Right.
So I'm like, he must have seen her exactly as she looked before. Maybe even before she changed her clothes and, you know, was thinner and all of
Yeah.
that. So, I mean, that place is about 5 miles, they said, in another direction, but they still don't know how she covered so much ground from all these different places she was spotted.
I'm assuming they dusted like her car and her backpack for fingerprints and didn't find anything.
That's why right away they came out and said that there was no
Foul play.
foul play, that there was no evidence to show that that was the case. So again, I was like, you can make up your own theories. I was like, it seems plausible that, like they said, she hits that tree, hits her head, rolls down into this ravine, and is just very confused. I said, but it doesn't explain why her campsite was streamed about. Maybe, I was like, unless she made her way from that car to her campsite again.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was miles. And if you have a concussion and you're disoriented, like, how do you get back
Right.
to that campsite?
I wonder if like something, like she was added something and she was like, oh shit, like I can't find it, and like dumped her stuff out, and then she was like, all right, let me just go to like the corner store real quick, and then hit a tree. And
Yeah. I mean, they're just saying that they were like, she just wouldn't leave her campsite all strewn about. So that's the thing. People just have theories like that. Like, did she see something? Was someone chasing her? Like, a lot of people are like, you only leave, like maybe somebody was hurt her
Yeah.
and was looking for her. They're like, they don't know. They're like, maybe somebody was looking for her and, you know, went through, but her ID wasn't taken. Her wallet wasn't taken, like anything like that. Like, they said nothing seemed to be missing from the campsite. They found most of her gear. So nobody knows why you leave the campsite like that, why she left her car like that in the same way.
Yeah.
Was somebody else looking for her again? But they said there was no evidence to show that anybody else was in that car, you know, or with her.
Do we know if the car is still there?
That I don't know. I don't know. I would imagine it's not. I think they probably pulled that up. But yeah, so to this day, people don't know, like, why would she, you know, if you're in an accident, why don't you call 911 or something like that?
Yeah, I feel like the easiest like thing to write off or to say what happened is like she had a mental break, and then that's why her campsite was all strewn, and that's why her car was all strewn, and that's why she was barefoot.
Or like you said, yeah, maybe like when she broke, like she messed up her campsite, and that was the reason why she crashed. She was just kind of out of control or something.
Yeah. But I hate using that like as an quote unquote excuse, like she had a mental break. Like
right. Yeah,
silly.
nobody knows. Like
Right.
And again, I think also too with the boy seeing like that paranormal experience, I'm like, maybe there's other paranormal things out in that forest that could have happened. I don't know. Like,
well, and all the paranormal stories we hear about are the ones that are mostly like believable are from children.
Yeah.
Because, you know, adults, we love to put spins on things.
Exactly. Yeah.
Kids, they're so unbiased.
Adults
and they just
have
don't
motives.
care.
Like you think it through, like, oh, I can get clout, or I can get, you know, a viral video. I'm like, yeah, that 6-year-old or 5-year-old kid is not thinking about that.
Right.
They're just kind of telling you what they're seeing. They're like, I don't know. There's some woman out there and she's dead. So
that's so crazy.
I said I wouldn't even have gone out there. Like the dad was like, oh, let me go search. I'd be like,
yeah.
Let's get out of here.
Oh man.
I'd say, shut your mouth, kid. Don't ever speak of this again.
I wonder if they would have had cell service up there, if they would have called the police right away instead of fleeing and going back.
Right. I don't know if they would. I mean, if you don't know about Sandra missing or, you know, anything like that, fair, you know what I mean? Like, you're just like, I don't know what's happening. Like, I don't know why he's saying that.
That's crazy.
I would have told him immediately. I would have slapped him and been like, stop. Don't ever say that again.
I think that's really cool that the police reached out via Facebook. I've heard a couple stories like that where either like a victim's family members reached out and been like, search this, like through Facebook, and then finally they'll answer and be like, okay, we will. And then it's led to like solving cases, or like the other way around too, where they like see something and they're like, can you come in? And that solved cases too.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they
power of social media. It's insane.
right. And I said, just because she decided to just post about it. And
right.
So I was like, I don't know how Madera County would come across the post on their own.
Somebody probably have sent it to them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's the only thing I can think, that somebody recognized the description as well. And just kind of put it in. So.
Or maybe she tagged the area, and so they were like reading posts through the area.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Because like you said, if there's been cases solved that way, maybe they do kind of comb social media just to see what's being put out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was a really interesting case. And again, and what's crazy, it's not an isolated thing. Like there's so many people that go missing on popular trailheads. Yeah. Like they're like people that like trailheads that have other people on it all day and people just gone. Like they vanish and no one knows what happens to them. But I'm like, it could be anything. It could be a person out there. It could be an animal attack.
Right.
I'm a big believer in that we don't know everything that's out there. So I'm like, who knows? It could be
Bigfoot got her. For all we know.
Mole people. What is it? The Mothman.
I love the Mothman.
Yeah. I'm like, if anything, she probably was like, take me, Mothman. Let's go.
And he was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah. He said, I'm actually like kind of going to a different world, like a different dimension. Oh, please.
She's all, my hair's blue.
She said, is the rent free there? He's all, rent doesn't exist there. Oh my, let's go. Let's go, please. Do I have to work every day? No, you just contribute to society and everything's fine. Got it. Let's go.
Cool. Let's go.
I like that.
Oh man, that is crazy.
I thought it was an interesting story.
So I wonder what the hikers the hunters actually saw. Because if she was in a different outfit,
right.
That's strange too. That she was in a different outfit when they saw her.
Right, and because they said as far as they knew, she had no gear. Like she had never. They said all of her belongings were left at her campsite in her car. But I'm like, you don't 100% know that? I mean, what if she did grab just one thing?
What if she had a small bag on her? Like, we don't know.
Right, we don't know for sure. They said just based on everything they cataloged, like it was all of her gear. So yeah, that is weird that she changed. And like I said, it's weird that she's not approaching anyone.
Yeah.
That they said she was just looking off into the distance, as if she was looking at someone or waiting for someone, like just leaned up against this tree. And they said it was not anywhere close to the road. Like it's way up on this cliff, just leaned against a tree, kind of hidden up there.
Damn.
And they said, yeah, she said nothing to them. Didn't approach them, didn't look at them, didn't acknowledge them, as if they were not even there. So they were like, okay, well, they said, we'll just go fuck ourselves, I guess. See ya. Appreciate you.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, okay, bye. That's what I would say. If someone's all, we should probably go help her. That woman is a witch. We need to get out of here.
We are leaving. Goodbye.
Yeah, we're leaving. Someone's all, I think I'm going to check on her real quick. All right, you go. We're leaving though.
Man, that's so crazy.
Yeah, I love the paranormal aspect of it. That's why I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah. When you told me that you were going to do this case, I thought you said UFO. So I was waiting for that to come up. But
I'm sure there's a case like that too.
I'm sure there's a conspiracy theory out there about this case that has something to do with that. Yeah.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the movie, I've recommended the movie to you, the Alien one, the No One Will Save You. Did I recommend that one to you?
Maybe.
Yeah, the one on Hulu.
Oh,
I think I probably
just recently.
Yeah, I think I just told you last night.
No, you've mentioned it twice.
A couple times, right?
You've mentioned it twice now. We just haven't. We're out of town. We haven't been able to get.
So yeah, it's an alien movie. So it's like one of those things where you're like, yeah, maybe an alien just. It would explain why things were strewn about.
Right.
I said they make her crash her car. They drag her out.
Maybe it was an alien in her body.
Yeah, who knows?
And they don't know how to speak our language.
That's what I would think. I'd be like, maybe it came down, makes her car crash, beams her out of there. The aliens are kind of looking around her stuff. Then they're like, oh, there's also a campsite, and they put her campsite into disarray, and then she's just gone. Who knows? Like,
I can't wait for the comments on this.
Who knows, man? I don't know. So, but yeah, no, this case I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, this was good.
Yeah, I enjoyed doing the research. So now I felt like you. I was like, oh, I get why Amber likes doing this. Like, you just kind of deep dive and you find out some more stuff that are kind of like under the surface as well. But yeah, it's like I said, it's strange for her family. I'm sure it's sad that at this point you would have to think like there's no way she's coming back.
You always hold on to the hope, but it's almost more painful to have a family member completely missing rather than missing and then show up dead, because then at least you know and you can like put that to rest. But now this family's probably never going to have closure on what happened to their mom, ex-wife, cousin, sister, daughter, you know?
Yeah, and I guess where her sleeping bag was found was kind of like, they said it was almost like in like a So like they had a lot of steep hills, and then there was like a clearing. It was almost like when there's a lot of rain.
Oh, like a wash almost?
Yeah, like a wash, like a natural wash almost. That's where she was laying down at. And they said, I remember reading, they said that it looked very, very recently used.
Like and that's like camping rule 101. You don't camp in low ground. You always camp on high ground.
Right. So that, again, she's a survival expert. So, it hadn't rained or anything. But they said that it was so recently used that they're like, it could have been hours that we missed her. It could have, but it could have been no more than, a couple of days. So I guess it was and I guess, when they turned out the sleeping bag, it had her name on it. So they were able to identify that it was hers. And it was just the flashlight and the sleeping bag. That's it.
Dang.
So I'm like, was somebody else using it? Was she actually using it? Like, I don't know. But it was weird that she spotted, 3 times? 2 times?
2 visually,
and
1
then spiritually or something like that. Because, I think that's what, like I said, that's what got me was that he recognized her old photos.
Yeah.
So to him, he must not have seen her while she was significantly thinner, like those hunters said.
Oh,
so
man.
I'm like, maybe he did see her spirit or something like that, but they never found anything. They said they searched the whole area again, and they never found her body or anything like that.
Oh, that's so sad.
But I hope nothing happened to her, like nobody hurt her.
Yeah.
I think the only thing you can kind of hope for is that whatever her last moments were, they were as peaceful as it can get. Right.
Hopefully they weren't like excruciating.
Right. Hopefully she was out doing, in a place that she loved to be, out in nature and then the forest and all that, which I think we tend to forget because, I like to go camping and, you get your gear and you can't, everyone has a good time, campfire, you drink, you kind of, tell stories.
Right.
And I think you forget like how
scary the forest is.
Yeah, or how thin that veil is from having a great camping time with your friends to being lost in the middle of the forest by yourself, and now everything's different.
Right.
So that's the only thing I can hope for, that if she has passed, that it was, as peaceful as it can get, and hopefully her family can get closure. But who knows, maybe one day they will find something or find someone or that knows, information. I mean, it's happened before, right? Where people...
They go missing for like 20 years and then something comes up and they're able to find the body.
Yeah, or even like a person is suspected of another crime and then they'll say like, oh, I also killed this person. And then it's like, oh, it matches another disappearance or another person's case. And you can kind of, go that route as well. So
another thing that I think is really cool is, I forget the term, but there are people who study like land after a body's been like buried or after like a body decomposes, so they can tell like just by looking at like land or dirt or like where flowers have been growing if there could possibly be something under it.
Really?
Yeah. I'll have to fucking look up the name of it.
Crap.
But there's a whole book about it that I've tried to read a couple times, but it's the guy who narrates it is just really slow talking.
Oh, okay.
But
so just like telltale signs of possible decomposition and stuff. Okay.
And like based on like how the like if the ground's like flat and then like has a sudden like just a slight raise and then it's flat again, like there could be something there. And so people spend their lives reaching this stuff. And that's the part that I think is amazing.
Yeah. Well, I would imagine, like just because I'm sure like human beings, like your body, like anything, like it has specific traits, like when our body decomposes. So I'm sure it changes like a lot of the like biological stuff in there, like molecular stuff. Like
if you ever get the chance, you should read the book Body Farm.
Body Farm.
And any of our viewers, if you get a chance to read it, it talks a lot about that. But there's like this research facility in Louisiana or Georgia or like one of those states where they take people who've donated their body to science and like put them in different factors in the wilderness and study the decomposition of them and like study how they break down and stuff like that. So that's also how like when all of the science first started, they were able to find out like when you I don't want to get it wrong, but like when you are like filled with water, like you die in water, if you then dry out, like your skin of your hand can slough off, but it can still stay in one piece. So you can put it like back on the hand and get the fingerprints.
Really?
Or like your skin will slough off, but your fingerprints will still be there. So then they can take the sloughed off skin and find the fingerprints from it.
Oof.
It's insane. It's wild.
That's one of those things. It's like what a job. Like if somebody asks you, like if you do that job, like what do you tell someone when you're like,
that's the job I wanted to do. That was my goal.
But you know what I mean?
Dream.
But if somebody tells you like, what do you do for a living? Like how do you say that? Like, oh, I study decomposing bodies to, further. I don't know. I feel like if you explained it like that, like if you're I'm meeting you for the first time and you explain that, I'd be like that seems, I'd be like, it seems scary, but it also seems pretty cool. Like
you're kind of psycho.
Yeah. You're like, oh yeah, the skin when I put it back on there, it's the best. Like I love feeling it just slide back into place.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
but I highly recommend if you can find that book and read it.
What is it?
Body Farm.
Yeah, I saw a thing. I don't know how true. It was just one of those reels that it was saying that that Google Maps looks for 6 foot, like within like 6 foot range, holes.
Oh.
While they're going through images, or I guess like the AI is like programmed to basically flag any possible burial sites or grave sites or unmarked graves and things like that. And so they said they were like, so this tells us if you want to get away with murder, you bury the person vertically. They're like, and it won't read for it. They won't find
goodness.
it. I was all, that's actually pretty smart because everyone's looking for something a little bit long enough, to see the person. So they were like, yeah, bury him vertically and you'll be fine. And I was like, morbid, but all right.
Well, I'm going to hold that comment back. Oh. That's another case for another day, what I was just about to say.
Okay, yeah. No, I'm excited. I know we talked about some new things coming with the social media.
Yeah, give us a follow. Missed it earlier, Speaking Spatter Pod on Instagram. Speaking Spatter on YouTube and Spotify. Hopefully we're getting a more platform soon. We have to talk to our editor about that.
Our editor-in-chief.
Yeah.
So I know, because like I said, I'm not on TikTok. I know you are, but again, I know that you're pretty busy right now. So it's hard for you, for me to be like, hey, do the TikTok as well.
Yeah. We'll eventually get a TikTok.
I'm like,
we're
and
not
the Facebook.
there yet.
I'm like, and the LinkedIn.
And the Instagram.
And the LinkedIn page. All right, we need assistance. So
and monitor the email.
Yeah, monitor. And I need you to reply within 48 hours to everyone.
It's not happening. Yeah, I'm looking forward to these next couple. There's been one I'm wanting to do for a long time, even when we started this on with Josh, that I've really, really wanted to do. So that's going to be my next one. And then I've got a couple others that are getting ready. And then I have a couple other like events that I want to cover. So not all of our episodes are going to be like crazy, weird, or morbid.
Right.
We also wanted to make that clear for our audience.
Yeah.
So, but this was great, and I can't wait to do this again.
Yeah. I know we're, like I said, we'll be a little bit more consistent. But again, it's a little bit tough just because, like I said,
tough getting started for sure.
Well, and I also think because, both of us, you have our jobs, you have, your family, friends, and
my life was a shit show this summer.
You gotta, everyone expects you to make time for everybody. So you're like, I only have so many hours in the day.
Right.
Because I find the same thing. Like I'm like, oh, I want to make sure I spend time, with friends, or and I want to make sure I spend time with, go out with my Uncle Mark. I want to see my cousin Nick. I want to, make sure I see my sister, and especially with her baby coming, I'm sure that'll take time as well. Yeah. And then you just kind of realize you're like, okay, I really need a day to myself where I don't see anybody. Yeah. Like I don't want to see anybody today. So that'll be my day tomorrow. Wednesday's usually the day that I don't have anything, because we do this Tuesday, Thursdays recording. So usually this is the day, and hopefully it goes well. But I enjoyed being here with you.
I enjoyed this too. It was nice to listen.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'll take a few more. Like I said, I'll definitely let you. You'll be doing the bulk of them, but I definitely would like to find cases like this, because I think I found what you were saying, how some of them just kind of jump out at you, and you just feel like, wow, I really want to cover this. I think once I read it and heard it from that YouTube video, I was like, I gotta talk about this. Like, this is really cool. So
well, I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, hopefully there's more like that, and there's gonna be more to come. I'm excited. Hopefully, maybe people will be coming here because they see the preview clips that we're gonna put out on social media. So, like I said, give us a follow, interact with us, questions, comments, negativity, hater, lover, whatever you want to do.
Give it all to us.
Whatever, give it all to us. We definitely take everything into consideration. So, good episode, and
And remember to support your local drag.
Yeah, that absolutely. So as always,
I'm Amber.
I'm Josh, and
support your local drag. And this was Speaking Spatter.
I'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.